Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Erica. Thank you for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Brian Batko from the Post-Gazette in a matter of moments. And there he is, right there in Studio A. And we're talking Steelers. He's at Steelers all the time, just like I am. And in the locker room has a feel for the team. And right now, neither one of us has a feel for when this game is going to be next weekend. You know, this is what I don't like, Brian. I don't know about you, but I'm sure fans don't like it either. I have everyone calling and asking me and texting me, hey, when's this game going to be? They're trying to make plans. And now we're at 10:30 on a Sunday and might not find out until after this late game, the Sunday night game, when the Steelers might actually be playing, Saturday or Sunday. I know the NFL likes this because it brings intrigue when, you know, you don't want them scoreboard watching or want to have nothing to play for. But, I mean, you're talking about a day difference.
Yeah, Rich, this is what we let the league do to us, right? I mean, they play on Christmas, they play on Thanksgiving, flex scheduling the Sunday nights and Monday nights. And yeah, and in this case, basically the old kind of 6-day hold that they call it in college football. But on those, you at least know what day you're playing. You're just trying to find out the kickoff time. So it's what we do following the NFL. They always want to make the slate as juicy as they possibly can in Week 18. So I guess I could see it going either way, but maybe leaning toward a Sunday game if they're going to try to play them the same time as the Ravens. That way the AFC North division can kind of be up for grabs until the very end, although I don't think many of us have much hope for the Browns to go and beat the Ravens in the regular season.
No, I don't think so, but they already did it this year. So I think statistically, I don't think it's statistically a worse chance this time because it's all independent. But, I mean, the fact that they already beat them, I don't think that they're going to win 2-0 against the Ravens this year. When you look at it, yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be Sunday at some point, too. That's just a feeling that I have. But, I mean, you would want to put the Ravens and the Steelers together. Also, the Bengals, you don't want them to have nothing to play for, so you want to put them with the Dolphins and the Broncos as well, right? But the Broncos are kind of out west. So you would think that all these games might be Sunday at 4.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals come into this game, Rich, Week 18, with the faintest of hopes. I mean, they need the Broncos to lose to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, they don't want to get anybody hurt. They're probably going to rest everybody. And just from a strategic, competitive standpoint, if you're sitting in Kansas City and you're Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, you'd rather the Broncos make it into this postseason than the Bengals, who could be one of the hottest offensive teams, I would think. Yeah,
I would think so, too. Speaking of not playing guys, what do you do with Saquon Barkley? The guy has a chance to break the NFL rushing record, needs 101 yards. But the Eagles they don't basically have nothing to play for except for the playoffs and a Super Bowl, and they're one of the teams that I think have a legit shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. What happens if he gets hurt? Do you, if you're the head coach, do you play him? I know he wants to play.
I wouldn't, but I think what we've seen from Nick Sirianni in Philly is that he is cognizant of these things. I think it was earlier this year when the Eagles played the Giants the first time and Saquon was running wild. Either Sirianni or maybe the running backs coach went up to him and said, hey, do you want to stay in this game, get a career high against your old team? He said, no, I'm good. But this is a little different, a long-standing record from Eric Dickerson. I thought it was funny. Dickerson himself said he's hoping he doesn't break it, and I don't blame him. A lot of times those older guys will say, oh, I'm rooting for him. He's a great player. I hope he breaks my record. No, you don't. You want to stay in history forever, and I wouldn't blame you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to do it. All he needs is 101 yards against the Giants, his former team. I'm sure he's motivated and knows them better than anyone else.
Yeah, but like you said, it's weighing that ultimate goal for the team versus an individual accolade. I'm sure everybody on that Eagles offense, defense, special teams would love to see Saquon go out and do that, write his name into the history books. But there is always that calculation about you could go down, and if you're the Eagles, your season's probably going down if you lose the best running back in the NFL right now.
All right, right now, as we're talking, we don't know the day or time when the Steelers are going to play the Bengals, but they are playing the Bengals. We do know that. The Bengals have one of the best offenses, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Steelers' defense has been struggling. And struggling bad. People are pointing fingers. There's some frustration in the locker room. Do you think that they can get this fixed in this mini-bye, these extra days, and heading into this Bengals game?
I mean, the Steelers have been better when they have more time to rest in between. We know Mike Tomlin's teams have struggled on the short weeks, those quick turnarounds to Thursday nights. But when they have an extra day or 2 or 3 or 4, they're usually more productive. And, this Steelers defense, like you said, Rich, I don't know exactly what's going on. This is about as frustrated as I can remember seeing this unit in the last 6 years that I've covered the team. Maybe it's partly because they thought they were going to be better this season. Expectations were higher. They felt like they got the quarterback in place with Russell Wilson the way they were playing in the middle of the year. Now, I mean, they're just getting shredded week in and week out, albeit by 3 of the best teams in the NFL, 3 of the best offenses and quarterbacks, but they need to figure out why they keep having these missed assignments, these mental lapses, get everybody on the same page, because it doesn't lighten up anymore with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow coming to town.
Yeah, but the Steelers' offense was at its best against the Bengals. The Bengals' defense is really bad. We saw it. We were in Cincinnati. They scored their most points. I mean, can they replicate that again against this Bengals team? Can they win a shootout?
I think they could, but I'll tell you this much. The Bengals defense, for as bad as they've been, they're having their best 4-game stretch of the season right now. Now, they've played the Titans, Cowboys, Browns in that, and, the Broncos had a lot of success against them last night with Bo Nix throwing the ball all around the yard. Mike Hilton, former Steeler, now with the Bengals, has said that Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, has simplified things for them, and maybe that's why it's clicking late in the season. They're getting a little bit more pass rush. Geno Stone, their free safety from Newcastle, has a couple interceptions, maybe 3 over this 4-game stretch, actually. So they're taking the ball away more, but the way that the Steelers just did whatever they wanted to them in Cincinnati, I mean, that's a good sign for Russell Wilson and company, but we know that they've kind of hit the skids a little bit over these last 3 games, and the offense is just about as disjointed as the defense.
And is it because of who they played? Look, I know if these 3 teams were spread throughout the season, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But the fact that it's a similar story in each game, and they lost to 3 of the best teams in the NFL. I guess it goes to show you that maybe the Steelers aren't an elite team, but are they as bad as I think we feel right now?
No, I don't think so. I think it's partial, the natural reactionary way that you respond to a 3-game losing streak, especially one all by double digits, 2 and 3 score games. We're not used to seeing that from the Steelers. I think I never put them in the NFL's elite. I didn't even think they were in the top tier of the AFC with the Chiefs, Bills, and the Ravens are always kind of a weird one to compare to the Steelers because of the success Mike Tomlin has had against them in that matchup. But yeah, I think certainly this 3-game stretch has showed us they're a good team, but they're not one of the great teams this year, and they're going to need to play a lot better if they're going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I'll tell you though, Rich, I don't think the sky is falling. I still think they can get back off the mat, maybe win a playoff game if they go to Houston or even Baltimore. Weird things happen in that rivalry.
Yeah, I actually think they could win their next 2 games. I think they'll beat the Bengals, and I think that they'll end up going to Houston and winning that game as well. I don't know about after that, but I feel pretty good about them winning their next 2. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to take your phone calls next. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC Tweet of the Night from Codified Baseball, RIP. Former President Jimmy Carter. Listen to this, Brian. Babe Ruth hit 430 home runs after Jimmy was born. He just turned 100 years old. That's just an amazing stat to think about it and put things into perspective, that Babe Ruth hit all those home runs during Jimmy's lifetime.
Yes, it is, Rich, and I'll look at it this way. I mean, so often when we see celebrities, whether it's from sports or in this case politics, pass away, I feel like normally we're sitting here saying that's much too young. In this case, you can actually celebrate a guy who made it to triple digits, and as you just put it out there with the Babe Ruth number, lived a heck of a long life and accomplished life, of course.
Yeah, no question about it. Let's go out to the phone lines. We got Dave out on the north side. How you doing, Dave?
I'd like to see Stoles run the ball a little bit more this week. I think it would be a better game. I think we should try to keep Cincinnati off the field. What do you think?
All right, I love your call, Dave, but they haven't been able to run the ball successfully, especially when Najee Harris is in there. I think Jaylen Warren fits this offense much better, Brian. I don't know what about you would think.
Well, I'll have even a wild card there to go along with Dave's suggestion. What about a little bit more Justin Fields?
Yeah.
If he's healthy enough with the abdominal injury and he's able to get out there in this final regular season game. It's not that this game isn't important for the Steelers. It is, but I think it maybe be more important to try to tinker with using Fields a little bit more. The run game was more efficient when he was in there. It makes sense. The defense has to respect the quarterback's legs as well when Fields is there. I'm not saying sit down Russell Wilson or switch him off every drive or every quarter, but it seemed like the one play here and there from Fields in the Cleveland game and earlier this year, that was a little bit just kind of sloppy, and they never really got into a rhythm with it. Maybe give him a series, see what he can do, see if it sparks that run game.
I actually have the opposing view as Dave. I think they should run less. They've been so predictable lately, especially on first down. I would like to see them make this offense more explosive at times.
Yeah, and with George Pickens back healthy, that's certainly an option too. And this offensive line, young as they are, I mean, I talked to Mason McCormick, rookie right guard, in the locker room, the day after Christmas when they all had to come in there and watch that Chiefs film, which could not have been fun for anybody. I asked him, I said, do you feel like you're one of these young guys, these first-year guys hitting that so-called rookie wall that you always hear about? And he's like, not really. I mean, I played at South Dakota State, FCS level. They were always in the national championship at that division, and they were usually playing into January. So he feels like his body's okay. They just need to clean up a lot of things offensively, and certainly that starts with what's going wrong in the run game.
I'm just hoping they have enough time. That's not my only concern right now. Let's get out to Michael in Beaver Falls. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing okay. Well, happy holidays, Richie and Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Same to you.
Sorry if I have too much faith and optimism in our Steelers. Did not mean to lead our Steeler fans or fan in disappointment with my take. Anyhow, please tell Coach Tomlin to please issue a football to the entire team to take home with them so they really know the feel of the football, and they will know what victory feels like when they do win in our next game against the Bengals. Go Steelers!
All right, thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate the call. How do you feel this game will go, Brian? Do you feel like it'll be similar as the last one?
Well, I thought Michael in Beaver Falls was getting at the ball security component there.
That's what I thought so too.
I thought he meant
give it to Najee.
Yeah, make sure nobody else fumbles, or Pat Freiermuth, which you normally never see from him. So he was being pretty hard on himself and down on himself with that fumble late in the Chiefs game. Not that changed the result probably, but they might have had a chance to try to claw back into that one.
I felt like they were out of it at that point. But if you look at those other games, I felt like the Russell Wilson fumble changed the whole momentum of that game. And then obviously the Najee Harris fumble in Philadelphia changed the outcome of that game too. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win either one of them, but I think it would have been a different game, a different feel. Yeah,
and Jaylen Warren has had fumble issues at times as well. They bounced back when he lost it against the Commanders. That isn't a typical problem for this Steelers team. And I think, they're so hung up on winning the turnover battle, which you want to do in any football game at any level. But kind of alluding to what you were saying earlier, Rich, I mean, maybe sometimes there's too much emphasis placed on making sure you don't throw a pick, making sure, you don't let the other team take the ball away more. Sometimes you just need to open it up. And, you watch guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, they're taking chances downfield. Sometimes they're not worried about throwing too many interceptions. Now, you do have to take care of the ball, but there's a fine line to walk there. And I think we've seen with the Steelers pretty much every offense in the post-Ben Roethlisberger era, regardless of quarterback, regardless of play caller, it's always a very conservative approach, and that's not always going to be the way you reach your ceiling in this league.
But now you have a Super Bowl winning veteran quarterback, so let him take chances. Let's go to Joe in Monroeville. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Richie, thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
My call's about the defense. I think since Cam Sutton came off of suspension, he looks lost out there when he's playing, and they were playing better when they had even Beanie Bishop in there.
Well, I mean, stats point to that. Their defense was much better before the break, and then after the break, I don't know what it is, the average points per game. It's somewhere in the high 20s right now, which has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL since that stretch. Beanie Bishop had 0 snaps the last game. And then you look at the 3 tight ends that scored that were wide open. Cam Sutton, at least 2 of them, it felt like there was some kind of miscommunication with him out there.
And that shouldn't be happening with a veteran cornerback, and it's kind of mystifying with Sutton. The whole reason they took a chance on him after the domestic assault charges and kind of fleeing police in the offseason, the Lions cut him right away. It was to have a guy who knows this defense inside and out, can do everything that's asked of him, be versatile, line up in multiple spots, be depth, if not a starter, and they trusted him a lot to play more snaps than Beanie Bishop, infinitely more snaps than the rookie in that Chiefs game, and it's bizarre to see him kind of standing there shrugging with somebody else or 2 guys pointing at him. If he's not capable of knowing his assignment and being ball aware in that sense, then I don't see much point in having him around. That was the whole reason you wanted to lean on the veteran. We saw last year with the Lions when they signed him to a much larger deal to be an all-time outside cornerback. He just didn't have it physically for them at that point. He circles back to the Steelers, and now it looks like he might be the biggest issue in their secondary.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see. Mike Tomlin alluded to there's going to be changes. I'm anxious to see this week at practice what those changes might be. Let's go to Rich and Beaver. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, how you doing, Rich?
Good, thanks for calling.
I just want to say one thing. Arthur Smith, I think he's a horrible offense coordinator, and he's too predictable.
I definitely agree with the too predictable, but Brian, maybe he doesn't have the right personnel. There's a reason that they didn't give Najee Harris the 5th-year extension. There isn't. I don't know if there's a number 2 receiver on this team right now. So I mean, he's missing some pieces.
Yeah, I thought Arthur Smith has mostly done a good job this year, especially, I mean, I think with any coordinator, you look at how are they handling the quarterbacks, right? And they went through the transition from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, but in Smith's defense, built winning game plans around Fields at quarterback. Then he built winning game plans around Russell Wilson at quarterback. The offense looked a lot different from one to the other. Yes, I mean, he was dealt a tough hand without George Pickens for a few games in there. There's some play calls that kind of leave you scratching your head. The handoff to Cordero Patterson on 3rd down against the Chiefs was one that seemed telegraphed, and of course it gets blown up. But you go back and watch it. I think Mason McCormick may have missed his guy there who came in to blow up the play. So I mean, things happen that aren't necessarily what the coordinator drew up, and he can't run the plays for the guys. But I don't necessarily disagree that the schemes looked a little bit vanilla in recent weeks. You'd like to see a little more creativity.
Yeah, no question about it. We got to get the break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, now it's time to turn things over to Erica Stanish to find out what's coming up on KDK News at 11.
Yeah, hey, Rich, we're looking back on former President Jimmy Carter's life and legacy, both here in Pittsburgh and around the world after his passing today. Plus, strong winds are sweeping through our region right now. We are tracking everything you need to know about outages and much more. Join us in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Erica. Since this is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, the Steelers are headed to Ireland next year. Brian, Jerry broke that news here today. I like it. I want to see the Steelers play in an international game. The problem is we don't know when it's going to be or who they're going to play.
Yeah, at least they're going to get that announcement out there most likely early next month. And, you have to kind of wait and see some of the dominoes to fall. But yeah, first time for the Steelers since 2013. Now, that wasn't a very memorable one for them, losing to the Vikings in London. They went out right before the game that year, I remember. If they're the home team for Ireland, which they clearly will be, they'd probably be spending the whole week out there. So that'd be great for the international relations, and might be better for preparing the team to play overseas as well.
Yeah, it'll be great for us too, because I guess I'll be spending the whole week out there too. But they would play one of their home teams, so we don't know that yet, but we'll probably find that out in May. Hey, thanks a lot, Brian. Great job here tonight. I appreciate it. We'll see you hopefully soon on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, and hopefully we see you guys over at KDK News right now.